coffee grounds? Have you gone mad, woman? Au contraire, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much for checking out this video where I'm going to be tinkering with some old coffee grounds and trying them out in some baked good recipes. Now, before we go any further, I just want to point out that one of the best things that you can do with your coffee grounds is actually to wang them in the old compost bin. But, you know, gardening, schmardening, I'm talking about composting those coffee grounds in your guts. And so to experiment, I am going to have a go at a biscotti recipe, a traditional biscotti recipe that I'm going to tinker with. I'm going to go a little bit off-piste, and I'm going to try using walnuts rather than hazelnuts. And in addition to that, I'm also going to be, foolishly, perhaps some might say, trying the Mary Berry coffee cake recipe and using the coffee grounds there rather than using an instant coffee or a coffee essence, which you'll find is often called for in a lot of coffee cake recipes. So without further ado, let us to venture into the great unknown. Wish me luck. So to kick things off, I'm going to have a go at the biscotti. This is the recipe that I'm going to be following. Not to worry if this screen looks a little bit illegible. I'm actually going to type out all the details below and leave that in the description box for the video. As I said, this is a recipe that I'm tinkering with, as I'm going to go for walnuts rather than a more traditional hazelnut. So in terms of preparing the biscuit dough, very simple. I just need to wang all the ingredients into the bowl, basically. So I've started there with the flour, the sugar. So the recipe just calls for a light sugar, so I've gone for a nice light brown sugar. A couple of teaspoons of the cocoa powder there, and some salt, and some baking powder as well. The flour I used was plain flour, although the recipe just said all-purpose flour. And then some toasted nuts. So, like, I've gone for walnuts, and I'm a little bit extra in it, and I actually toasted them with a bit of cinnamon because I love Christmas, and I just can't help myself. Not to forget, of course, our key ingredient, the almighty coffee grounds. Now, you can either use these fresh from your cafetiere, so it doesn't matter if they're slightly damp, that's absolutely fine. But if you're planning to use them later on in the week, probably best just to try and dry these out because you don't want them growing any mold, or alternatively just store them in an airtight container. So absolutely no great science to this or whatsoever, just dropping all your ingredients in the bowl and oh yeah, lovely, look at that. Only missing ingredient now, folks, is a bit of elbow grease. So get your wooden spoon out and mix all of that goodness up. Now, I can appreciate that this looks like the basic recipe for tarmac, but stick with it. It will feel very dry, and you'll need to resist the urge to add extra liquid, because the more you work the dough, I assure you it will actually come together, and you really don't want a soggy biscotti dough. And so, as promised, our dough, against all expectations, has actually come together and formed a ball there, just like any kind of traditional cookie recipe, really. So, like I said, just persevere with it, resist the temptation to add any extra liquid, and if needs be, get your hands in there, roll your sleeves up, get a bit dirty. There's no shame in it, is there? Come on now. Now we need to prep said dough for baking, and this is actually really simple. Just need to roll that out to form a sort of log formation. So here we go. And yes, I know what you're thinking, you dirty bastards. No need to be like that. I can get my Nigella on if I want to. So with the quantity of dough that we've created, you're actually looking to create 2 logs. And they need to be approximately 6 inches long and 1.5 inches wide. So finally the moment has arrived, and with our oven set to approximately 180 degrees, we are ready to stick these bad boys in the oven. And of course, because we're all about the zero waste, surely, I'm actually using a reusable pan liner there, top tip for you all. And so, having popped our new friends in the oven, we bid them farewell for approximately 20 minutes. And wowzers, what a journey of transformation they've been on. Like me on an all inclusive holiday, our logs have doubled in size. Excitingly, but you can see there as I'm trying to slice into individual biscuits that the dough is still quite cakey, it's quite soft, so not very reminiscent of our traditional biscotti. And so this is when I reveal to you that it is in fact a twice baked biscuit. Yep, that's right. Could you be more bougie? So on closer inspection, backing up my former claims, I can confirm that these bad boys are still fairly flabby, and that's no good to man nor beast. Our only job now is to make sure these cookies are drier than Gandhi's flip-flop. So it's back to the oven for ya. Now, in order to avoid fossilising our biscuits, we need to drop the temperature of the oven to around 50 degrees. And we're looking simply just to dry out the final bit of the moisture from the middle of the biscuits. And in order to do that, we're going to pop them back in the oven there for approximately 35 to 40 minutes. Like a beautiful butterfly emerged from its chrysalis, might I present to you our coffee and walnut biscotti. Doesn't it look great? Now, whilst our biscotti was drying out in the oven, I had plenty of time to prep all the ingredients for the coffee cake. Now, as with the biscotti, I will leave the recipe below in the description box to this video. So this really is just a very simple traditional sponge recipe following the basic principles of combining equal amounts of butter and sugar together. This recipe called for light sugar again, so I went for a nice light brown sugar. And yeah, sure, at this stage you must all know how to cream butter and sugar together. Otherwise you've lived a much healthier lifestyle than me. Now for the squeaky pants moment, as we add our eggs to the creamed butter gunge. Because let's face it, we don't want a big curdled ball of mess. So you want to pick up your speed now, folks, and whoo, just about managed to get that together. It's not looking too gruesome. It's not quite Halloween yet. So now we've managed to combine those together, I am gonna pop that flour in PDQ because I do not want to risk it. I've also chucked in my coffee grounds there. And yeah, so perhaps you're on the fence about this. Are you worried, is this going to be a bit gritty? And yeah, I mean, as you can see from the mixture there, it does look a little bit sort of reminiscent of kind of cookie dough. But wait, I have a feeling you might well be surprised with the final results. So like the biscotti, we're setting the oven again to 180 degrees. But on this occasion, we're going to be baking our sponge mix for 25 minutes. Or certainly for the initial baking. Once this is complete, obviously check your sponge by sticking a knife or a skewer in the middle and just checking that it comes out clean and making sure that your sponge is cooked all the way through. Rather than going for the sandwich tin approach, I'm actually going to try this out on tea and see how we go. So it might take me a little longer. But yeah, we're starting out with 25 minutes there and playing it nice and safe. Nobody likes a burnt cake. Isn't that just tragic? So as predicted, my life actually took considerably longer. I think I ended up leaving it in the oven for about 45 minutes. But I'm really pleased with the bake, and it came out the pan really nicely, as you can see there. So as a final pièce de résistance, I'm going to try a little bit of buttercream to decorate my cake. And in that buttercream, again, I'm going to add some coffee grounds. Et voila. Perhaps no coincidence that I've managed to make my tea loaf look a little bit like a Yule log. Like I said, Christmas obsessed. And it is September, so what better time to start celebrating? But yes, now for my favourite bit. It's time to test our recipes. And so after all our hard work, all that remains is to sit back, chillax, and enjoy the fruits of our labour. I have a sample of each of the goodies there, the cake and the biscotti. And of course, I have a delicious cup of coffee. So I'm going to start with the biscotti, why not? Now, it feels fairly solid, so I'm going to give it a good old dunking. I think it's best to be careful. Obviously I've been blessed with gnashers like a racehorse, but appreciate that's not not everybody was so well endowed. Right, okay, so like I say, my recommendation would be a good long dunking on this one. Right, I'm going in. Wish me luck. Very authentic, if I don't say so myself. Not too sweet, not overly sweet, which is nice. Doesn't taste like overwhelmingly strong of coffee, or other than obviously the bit of coffee that I've just dunked it into. Yeah, that's really, I really like that. Yeah, just it's very, very, very crunchy. Mmm. Slightly softer in the middle. That's probably a shit bake from me. But yeah, I think perhaps it'd be interesting to try and honour the original recipe maybe and try it out with the hazelnuts, but the walnuts are nice, and yeah. But yeah, it's just very nice, not too sweet, and goes really nicely with the coffee. I think we'll give that one a thumbs up. So next on to the cake. Looking forward to trying this one, especially the coffee ground icing there. Not going to dunk this one. Yeah, that's a good bake. Girl done good. That's just a really nice sponge recipe, but again, that one, there's not an overwhelming taste of coffee. And interestingly, I don't know if you can see, but there's no like the texture hasn't been compromised by adding in the coffee grounds, which I imagine, like, that was my concern, was that it might taste a bit gritty. You can still, there's obviously a bit of texture in the buttercream icing there, but like I said, my advice there is either just omit it if it's something you think will put you off, or again to run it through the NutriBullet or a blender just to turn it into more of a fine powder. But yeah, that cake's just really nice, light, fluffy. Yeah, give it a go. Give it a go and let me know what you think. So anyway, that's me. I am going to sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of my goodies. Let me know if you try the recipes, what you think, or have you tried any other recipes with coffee grounds? Be really interested to hear your feedback. And as always, why don't you like and subscribe my videos, because I'm so lovely. And it would just be nice, and it might make me smile. So thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.